you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, Honorable Prime Minister, Honorable Cabinet Ministers, Assistant Ministers, Honorable Leader of Opposition, Members of Parliament. Dear Fiji, Dolavina, Namaste, Ram Ram, Nimbulavinaka. I rise to support the 2026-2027 national budget themed A Responsible Budget for a Sustainable Future. This budget demonstrates the coalition government's commitment to responsible fiscal management while making meaningful investments in the people of Fiji. It recognizes that sustainable development extends beyond economic growth, requiring continued investment in the dignity, well-being, and potential of every Fijian. Mr. Speaker, the coalition government has consistently strengthened social welfare support. The 15% increase introduced in 2023-2024, including the 25% increase for beneficiaries aged 70 years and above, as well as the additional 5% increase provided in 2025-2026, have all been maintained in this budget despite ongoing fiscal pressure. In addition, to help mitigate the impact of the fuel crisis, all social welfare beneficiaries have received a 50% increase in their assistance across the board over the past 3 months. These measures reflect the government's unwavering commitment to protecting the vulnerable households while responsibly balancing national priorities and maintaining fiscal discipline. Mr. Speaker, the Ministry of Women, Children and Social Protection has been allocated $211 million. This budget allows the ministry to continue strengthening Fiji's social protection system, expand child protection services, advance women's economic empowerment, improve support for survivors of violence, and enhance services for older persons and persons living with disabilities. Allocation of $189.3 million in this budget enables us to continue to support more than 130,000 vulnerable Fijians. This includes $86.2 million for the social pension scheme, $38.3 million for the family assistance scheme, $18.5 million for the disability allowance scheme, $18.4 million for the child protection allowance, and $22 million for the transport assistance scheme, with additional $465,615 for the rural pregnant mothers' food allowance. Social pension scheme has received an increase of $4.16 million in anticipation of more applications from senior citizens, and transport assistance scheme has been allocated additional $7.9 million, Mr. Speaker. There is 11% increase in allowance for rural pregnant mothers as well. We also appreciate continued budget allocation for welfare graduation program revived in the last financial year. Continued budget support of more than $1 million from the Government of Fiji and Australia in the next financial year to advance social protection reforms will transform service delivery by improving efficiency, reducing duplication, strengthening data integrity, and enabling faster evidence-based decision-making. This budget also provides for the procurement of much-needed IT equipment and network cabling to ensure that all our ministry offices across Fiji are equipped to support the implementation of these reforms. Together, these reforms are laying the foundation for a stronger, more responsive and sustainable social protection system that is better equipped to meet the needs of the people of Fiji. Working alongside our development partners, we are implementing the Fiji's Adaptive Social Protection Strategy, which was developed with the support from the World Bank. The national strategy is designed to ensure that Fiji's social protection systems can anticipate, prepare for, and respond rapidly to future shocks. Our partnership with the United Nations Development Programme and the Reserve Bank of Fiji has also delivered the Climate Risk Assistance Pilot Project, which currently supports 5,136 social protection beneficiaries. During the recent heavy rainfall and flooding event, more than 1,300 vulnerable households qualified to receive emergency cash assistance through this pilot. Mr. Speaker, in partnership with the World Food Programme and telecommunication service providers, we have launched the Social Protection Helpline 1561, providing our beneficiaries with a dedicated toll-free service to access information, seek assistance, provide feedback, and lodge complaints. Mr. Speaker, the needs of our vulnerable communities continue to evolve, marked by an increasing demand for child protection services and specialized support for children affected by substance abuse. Mr. Speaker, safeguarding our children remains a core responsibility of our ministry. To meet its statutory obligations, the Department of Children has been allocated $3.7 million. This funding will directly support the implementation of the landmark Child Care and Protection Act and the Child Justice Act, while facilitating the expansion of vital child safeguarding services. With the invaluable backing of our technical and development partners, we remain firmly focused on strengthening child-centered interventions that prioritize prevention, rehabilitation, and family empowerment. Mr. Speaker, for the first time last year, we commemorated the International Day of the Girl Child to draw critical attention to the unique challenges faced by our young girls. While we continue to collaborate with our partners to establish robust awareness and protection mechanisms for our girls, we are simultaneously working with stakeholders to design targeted programs for at-risk adolescent boys. In direct response to the escalating national drug crisis, we are supporting Empower Pacific to establish a dedicated alcohol and drug recovery center for boys in Lautoka. The budget also supports setup of a specialized rehabilitation facility for boys found on the streets. This facility is being built in Suva with the partnership of Habitat for Humanity. These children cannot be accommodated within our existing residential care homes due to the exposure to illicit substances and health complexities like HIV. They require a highly specialized rehabilitation environment to stabilize and heal before they can be successfully reintegrated into formal education institutions. This budget also allows much needed upgrade of the Fiji Juvenile Rehabilitation and Development Center. The 29.6% increase in allocation to the community-based corrections reflects government's continued commitment to strengthening rehabilitation, reintegration, and alternatives to institutional placement. Mr. Speaker, the safety and well-being of our children dictate the future of our nation. To address the persistent challenge of child abuse and neglect, we have partnered with UNICEF to deliver an innovative solution straight to the doorsteps of Fijian families, our nation's first dedicated parenting app. Studies show that structured parenting programs reduce child neglect and abuse by up to 45%. My sincere thanks goes to the Ministries of Health, Education, Policing, and Communications, and all stakeholders whose collaborative efforts ensured that app's features are culturally relevant and tailored to Fiji. Mr. Speaker, this digital tool complements our existing safety nets as we continue to fund the toll-free child helpline number 1325 to ensure immediate rapid communication for any child in distress. Mr. Speaker, government continues to invest in aging with dignity and disability inclusion as well. This government inherited severe infrastructure backlogs. When we took office, we found that residents at the Lautoka Golden Age home were living in termite-infested, dilapidated structures that pose extreme occupational health and safety hazards. Recognizing this as an urgent priority, we safely relocated the residents to a fully renovated interim facility while we finalized plans for a brand new purpose-built complex. We are systematically addressing aging infrastructure across the country, Mr. Speaker. This budget also enables us to commence work on replacing the Suva Golden Age home, which has far outlived its structural lifespan at about 80 years old. To expand our national care capacity, the government provided targeted financial assistance to Habitat for Humanity, Fiji, during the last financial year. The crucial partnership aims to upgrade the Valelevu Heart Nursing Facility, expected to conclude next month, to secure dignified accommodation for 60 more elders requiring specialized care. Mr. Speaker, the National Development Plan 2025-2029 paved the way for the review of the disability policy, and in June 2025, Cabinet endorsed the Fiji National Policy on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities 2025 to 2035. It is this document that guides efforts for disability inclusion, equity, and the meaningful participation of people with disabilities. Disability services remain a top priority for this government, as evidenced by our substantial and consecutive funding increases. To provide a clear comparison, the disability budget stood at $19 million during the 2021-2022 financial year before this government took reign. nearly doubled to 40 million during last financial year, and has now reached a historic allocation of 55 million across different government ministries in this budget. We also appreciate the increase in allocation for economic empowerment of persons with disabilities that was piloted in the last financial year. Mr. Speaker, to understand what people with disabilities need, government supported the National Council of Persons with Disabilities revive its advisory committees as well as its district committees. In tangent to this, the Secretariat arm of Council is being strengthened. This is crucial to ensure we have a bottom-up approach and a top-down resourcing flow. We are thankful for the support from the Australian Government for Disability sector and the contribution towards the development and launch of the guidebook on employment for persons with disabilities, which is an inclusive guide for employers to hiring and supporting employees with disabilities in Fiji. Mr. Speaker, as a government, we stand strong by our commitment to people living with disabilities, and I take this time to thank Fiji organizations for persons with disabilities, their family members, community service providers, faith-based organization and development partners. Mr. Speaker, this budget further reinforces government's commitment to advancing gender equality and empowering women and girls across Fiji. The Department of Women has been allocated $3.9 million as it leads the implementation of two key national frameworks, the Women's Economic Empowerment National Action Plan launched in 2025 and National Action Plan to Prevent Violence Against All Women and Girls launched in 2023. The National Action Plan to Prevent Violence Against All Women and Girls places a strong emphasis on primary prevention through evidence-based approaches, strengthening the legislative and policy framework, and improved coordination responses across social services, the Women's Domestic Violence Helpline, and the Fiji Police Force. This week, we will launch updated service delivery protocols to strengthen quality and consistency of support provided to survivors, while continuing to build the capacity of government institutions to respond effectively to gender-based violence. Through this budget, government continues to fund the Women's Domestic Violence Helpline 1560 and has also allocated funding to support a women's shelter in the Western Division, ensuring greater access to protection and support services. Mr. Speaker, this budget also provides dedicated funding for the implementation of the Women's Economic Empowerment National Action Plan. This investment will expand women's access to economic opportunities by supporting skills development, facilitating re-entry into the workforce, strengthening financial inclusion, and improving access to markets, finance, and grants for women entrepreneurs, particularly those in rural and maritime communities. The Department for Women is also leading the Gender Transformative Institutional Capacity Development Initiative across 14 government agencies to strengthen the institutional capacity and embed gender equality into government policies, programs, and budgeting processes. And I thank the New Zealand government and SPC for supporting this process. Importantly, Mr. Speaker, gender equality is no longer confined to one single ministry, but integrated across government planning and budgeting. This budget reflects additional investments in agriculture, health, youth development, defense, demonstrating a genuine whole-of-government approach to advancing gender equality and ensuring that women and girls can fully participate in and benefit from Fiji's development. Mr. Speaker, poverty reduction remains at the core of our ministry's mandate. We are finalizing the Fiji Poverty Alleviation Strategy Framework 2026 to 2035, which will provide a coordinated national approach to addressing poverty, vulnerability, and social exclusion through stronger partnerships between government, civil society, development partners, and the private sector. Mr. Speaker, the ministry's REACH program has received a 60% increase in funding, enabling it to expand the delivery of whole-of-government services to Fiji's most remote, rural, and maritime communities. This increased investment will help ensure that we can reach the most underserved. We also welcome funding for several important new initiatives in this budget, including scoping for Fiji's first men's helpline an emergency assistance fund to provide urgent welfare support to individuals and families facing immediate hardship, and a social cohesion fund to support reconciliation, family strengthening, and community healing initiatives, fostering more resilient and inclusive communities. Mr. Speaker, these achievements would not have been possible without the steadfast support of our valued development partners, civil society organizations, faith-based organizations, and community stakeholders. We sincerely acknowledge the continued contributions of governments of Australia, New Zealand, Japan, Korea, the World Bank, UN Women, UNFPA, SPC, the Asian Development Bank, and our many other partner collaboration that helps advance Fiji's social development agenda. We also recognize the invaluable work of organizations supporting women, children, older persons, and persons living with disability. Our targeted budget allocations in this fiscal year to these organizations reflect our deep appreciation for their dedication and knowledge, and acknowledge the essential role they play in delivering critical services to those who need them the most. Mr. Speaker, this budget allocation to our ministry will significantly strengthen our capacity to build resilience, support families, protect children, empower women, care for older persons and persons with disabilities, and advance Fiji's vision of sustainable, inclusive, and people-centered development. Despite the ongoing global economic and financial challenges, this government has remained steadfast in its commitment to safeguarding the well-being of the most vulnerable members of our society. Through this budget, we are ensuring that Fiji's social protection system remains strong, responsive, and sustainable, while maintaining and strengthening the essential safety nets that support those who need them the most. Mr. Speaker, this budget reflects our unwavering commitment to uplifting vulnerable communities, promoting inclusiveness, and investing in a more resilient, prosperous, and equitable future for all Fijians. I'd like to thank the Minister for Finance and Business Development and his team for their hard work in preparation of this budget and ensuring the most vulnerable are prioritized. I support this budget, Mr. Speaker, and I thank you for this time. Aka.